The stars looked different that morning when Jake Parker woke up in his small cabin aboard the UES Liberty. He had been patrolling the outer edges of the solar system for 3 months now, watching for asteroids and space junk that might threaten the colonies on Mars. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Jake stretched and looked out the small window next to his bunk. The void of space stretched endlessly in all directions, filled with distant points of light that humans had been dreaming about reaching for centuries. Earth was just a tiny blue dot from this distance, but it was still home. The coffee maker beeped, and Jake poured himself a cup of the bitter black liquid that kept space workers going. He had just taken his first sip when the ship's computer started making noise. "Commander Parker, we have unknown contacts approaching from the direction of Alpha Centauri," the computer said in its calm female voice. "3 vessels. Configuration unknown." Jake nearly choked on his coffee. In all his years of space patrol, he had never seen anything that wasn't human-made out here. He rushed to the bridge and dropped into his command chair. "Show me," he said. The main screen lit up with an image that made Jake's blood run cold. 3 ships hung in space about 1,000,000 kilometers away, and they definitely weren't human. They were sleek and curved like living things, covered in a smooth material that seemed to glow with its own soft blue light. They were beautiful in a way that human ships, with their blocky shapes and exposed machinery, could never be. Jake's hands shook as he activated the emergency beacon that would alert Earth Defense Command. Within minutes, his radio crackled to life. "Liberty, this is Admiral Grant at Luna Station. We see your beacon. What's your status?" "Admiral, I have 3 unknown vessels in my sector. They're not human, ma'am." There was a long pause. "Say again." "Liberty? The ships aren't human-built, Admiral. I think we're looking at our first contact with alien life." Lisa Grant had been expecting this day for years, but she still felt her stomach drop when she heard Jake's report. She was sitting in the command center deep inside Luna Station, surrounded by dozens of screens showing the positions of every human ship and station in the solar system. "All stations, this is Admiral Grant. We have a first contact situation in the outer system. All military vessels are to move to defensive positions immediately. Civilian traffic is suspended until further notice." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Human ships moved into position around Earth and the major colonies while the alien vessels slowly approached. They made no hostile moves, but they also didn't respond to any of the radio messages that Earth kept sending. Finally, when the alien ships reached the orbit of Jupiter, they sent a message of their own. It came not as radio waves, but as a beam of light that somehow transmitted words directly into the minds of anyone who looked at it. "Greetings, inhabitants of the 3rd planet. We are the Vectar Empire, members of the Galactic Federation of Civilized Worlds. We come in peace to welcome you into the galactic community." The message was polite enough, but something about it made Lisa's skin crawl. She had been a soldier for 20 years, and she knew when someone was talking down to her. The first meeting took place on a space station in Earth orbit. High Counselor Zethka of the Vectar Empire arrived in a small shuttle that seemed to be made of the same glowing material as their ships. When the aliens stepped out of the shuttle, the humans got their first look at what they were dealing with. Zethka was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. The alien moved with a graceful, flowing motion that reminded Lisa of a dancer. Everything about the Vectar suggested a species that had never known real hardship or danger. "We are pleased to make contact with your species," Zethka said through a translation device that hung around the alien's neck. "However, we must inform you that your planet has been classified as a Class 12 death world under Federation standards." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "Death world? A planet where the environment is so hostile that most civilized species cannot survive. Your gravity is 3 times what most Federation citizens can tolerate. Your atmosphere contains poisonous gases. Your weather patterns are chaotic and dangerous. Most concerning of all, your planet is filled with predatory life forms that actively hunt and kill other creatures for food." The alien paused and looked at Lisa with what might have been pity. "We are amazed that your species managed to survive at all. Most life forms on death worlds remain primitive and savage. You have achieved space travel, which is remarkable, but you are clearly not ready for membership in civilized galactic society. Lisa felt her temper rising, but she kept her voice calm. What exactly are you suggesting? The Federation has prepared a lovely reservation world for your species. The gravity is lighter, the climate is stable, and there are no dangerous predators. You will be much happier there while we work to make your homeworld more suitable for civilized habitation. You want to relocate the entire human race? For your own good, yes. Your current world is slowly killing you. Federation atmospheric processors can remove the poisonous gases from your air and introduce more civilized weather patterns. Your dangerous animals can be relocated or removed entirely. Within a few generations, Earth will be a paradise suitable for any Federation citizen. Lisa looked around the room at the other human representatives. She could see the same anger in their eyes that she felt in her own chest. Ryan Mitchell, Earth's chief military strategist, was gripping his chair so hard his knuckles had turned white. And if we refuse? Lisa asked. Zethka's large eyes blinked slowly. Why would you refuse? We are offering you a chance to escape from your prison world and join galactic civilization. Because it's our home. The alien seemed genuinely confused by this response. But it is trying to kill you. Every day you remain on that world, you are in mortal danger from radiation, toxic gases, extreme weather, and predatory animals. No civilized being would choose to live in such conditions. Ryan Mitchell leaned forward in his chair. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. You want us to abandon our homeworld so you can terraform it for your own use? Not for our use, Zethka said quickly. Earth would become a vacation destination for Federation citizens who enjoy exotic experiences. The dangerous wildlife would be preserved in controlled habitats where they could be safely observed. Lisa felt something snap inside her chest. You want to turn our planet into a theme park? A very expensive and exclusive theme park, the alien corrected. Only the wealthiest Federation citizens would be able to afford to visit. The meeting ended badly. The human delegation walked out after Lisa told the alien exactly what humanity thought of their generous offer. Zethka seemed genuinely shocked by the human response. As the alien shuttle departed, Ryan Mitchell turned to Lisa. They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they? Lisa shook her head. They see a bunch of primitives who got lucky and built some spaceships. They have no concept of what it takes to survive on a world like Earth. What do you think they'll do next? Lisa looked out the station window at the 3 alien ships hanging in space like glowing jewels. They'll try to force us. They can't understand why anyone would choose to live on a death world, so they'll assume we're too stupid or crazy to make rational decisions. And when they try to force us? Lisa smiled grimly. Then they'll learn why evolution spent millions of years trying to kill us and why we're still here despite everything this universe has thrown at us. 3 days later, the alien ships departed for their home system. The last message from High Counselor Zethka was simple. You have 30 standard days to reconsider our generous offer. After that, the Federation will be forced to take action for your own protection. Lisa spent those 30 days preparing Earth's defenses and wondering if the aliens had any idea what they were about to unleash. Humans hadn't conquered their homeworld by being reasonable or civilized. They had done it by being tougher, meaner, and more stubborn than anything else on the planet. The Vectar were about to learn why that was a very dangerous combination. The 30 days passed faster than anyone expected. Admiral Lisa Grant stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching the screens that showed empty space where Earth's outer defenses waited. Every human military vessel in the solar system was ready for what was coming. Admiral, we have contacts, called out Lieutenant Tommy Brooks from his sensor station. Multiple ships coming out of hyperspace near Jupiter. Lisa's jaw tightened as she watched the display. What appeared wasn't the 3 elegant ships from before. This time, the Vectar had brought 200 vessels of various sizes. Some were as large as human battleships, while others looked like oversized cargo haulers. They're not here to talk this time, said Ryan Mitchell, who had been standing beside Lisa's command chair for the past hour. His face was grim as he studied the alien formation. The largest alien ship began broadcasting a message. High Counselor Zethka's voice filled the command center, sounding tired and disappointed. People of Earth, you have refused our generous offer of relocation. The Galactic Federation has therefore authorized us to begin atmospheric processing of your world for your own protection. Please do not resist. We do not wish to harm you. Lisa grabbed the communication device. This is Admiral Grant of Earth Defense Command. You are ordered to leave our solar system immediately or face the consequences. There was a long pause before Zethka responded. Admiral Grant, please be reasonable. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our vessels. Surrender now, and your people will be relocated safely to the reservation world we have prepared. The only thing being relocated today will be your ships, Lisa replied. Out of our system and back where they came from. The alien fleet began moving toward Earth, and Lisa could see their plan unfolding on her tactical displays. The larger ships were indeed atmospheric processors, designed to pump chemicals into Earth's air. The smaller vessels were transports, probably meant to carry humans away from their homeworld. All units, this is Admiral Grant. The aliens have made their choice, defend Earth at all costs. The first wave of alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere over major population centers. Colonel Amy Brooks watched from her command bunker in Colorado as the alien atmospheric processors began releasing clouds of strange glowing gas over Denver. Gas masks on, she ordered her troops. We don't know what that stuff does to humans. But something unexpected happened. Instead of making the human soldiers sick or weak, the alien gas seemed to have the opposite effect. Private Danny Clark was the first to notice it. Colonel, I feel great, he said over the radio. I mean really great. Like I could run a marathon and fight a bear at the same time. Amy looked around at her other soldiers. They were all standing straighter, their eyes brighter and more alert than she had ever seen them. Whatever the aliens were pumping into the air, it was affecting humans in ways the Vectar had never expected. Dr. Nick Thompson, monitoring the situation from his laboratory and underground facility, quickly ran tests on the alien gas. What he found made him laugh out loud. It's a stimulant, he reported to Admiral Grant over the secure communication line. The aliens are trying to make us drowsy and compliant, but the chemical compounds they're using are almost identical to substances humans have been breathing in small amounts for thousands of years from volcanoes and industrial processes. Our bodies are treating it like a performance enhancer. All across Earth, human soldiers were discovering that they had been accidentally dosed with the perfect combat drug. They were faster, stronger, and more alert than they had ever been in their lives. The first alien ground forces landed expecting to find weakened, confused humans stumbling around in a chemical haze. Instead, they found defensive positions manned by soldiers who were literally high on alien combat enhancers. The battle for Denver lasted exactly 47 minutes. Private Danny Clark, now feeling like he could take on the entire alien army, single-handed, held his position against an entire squad of Vectar soldiers. The aliens were tall and graceful, but they moved slowly and seemed confused by the chaos of actual combat. Human weapons, designed to kill other humans on a world where everything was dangerous, proved devastatingly effective against beings who had evolved on peaceful garden worlds. The aliens had energy shields and advanced armor, but these defenses had been designed to stop other energy weapons, not the crude kinetic projectiles that humans preferred. Danny's assault rifle punched through alien armor like it was made of paper. The Vectar soldiers fell one by one, their elegant weapons useless against an enemy who refused to stand still and fight in an organized manner. Similar scenes played out across the planet. Captain Kelly Ross led her fighter squadron against the alien atmospheric processors over New York City. The Vectar aircraft were marvels of engineering, capable of precise maneuvers and equipped with sophisticated targeting systems. But they had been designed for operations in controlled environments, not the chaotic hell of Earth's atmosphere. Human pilots, trained to fly in hurricanes, thunderstorms, and atmospheric conditions that would ground most aircraft, danced around the alien ships like they were standing still. Kelly's squadron used simple heat-seeking missiles against the atmospheric processors. The alien ships had no defense against such primitive weapons, because no civilized species would ever use something so crude and unpredictable. One by one, the atmospheric processors began exploding in brilliant balls of fire over Earth's major cities. The alien pilots tried to retreat, but human fighters followed them up into the thin air where the aliens thought they would be safe. "These guys have no idea how to fight," Kelly reported to ground control as she shot down her fifth alien ship. "It's like they've never been in actual combat before." She was more right than she knew. The Vectar Empire had conquered 47 star systems, but they had done it through superior technology and the threat of overwhelming force. They had never faced an enemy that actually fought back with anything approaching human ferocity. The ground battle was even more one-sided. Alien soldiers, bred for life on worlds where violence was rare and controlled, found themselves facing humans who had evolved in an environment where everything from the weather to the wildlife was actively trying to kill them. Sergeant Katie. Lewis discovered that Vectar communication systems had no defense against what humans called psychological warfare. She began broadcasting human music across their radio frequencies, starting with heavy metal and working her way up to death metal. The effect on the alien soldiers was immediate and catastrophic. The Vectar had evolved on a world where loud noises meant immediate mortal danger. The aggressive rhythms and screaming guitars of human music sent them into panic attacks that left them unable to function. By the end of the first day, the alien invasion force was in complete disarray. Half of their atmospheric processors had been destroyed, their ground forces were scattered and demoralized, and their communication networks were jammed with human music that made it impossible for them to coordinate any kind of organized response. Hi, Counselor Zethka, watching the disaster unfold from the safety of his command ship in orbit, could not understand what had gone wrong. The humans should have been weakened and confused by the atmospheric processing. Instead, they seemed stronger and more dangerous than ever. "How is this possible?" he asked his science officer. "The atmospheric suppressants should have made them docile and compliant." "Sir, it appears that the humans have evolved resistance to the compounds we were using. Not only do the chemicals not affect them as intended, but they seem to be acting as stimulants instead." Zethka stared at the tactical display showing the positions of his remaining forces. In less than 24 hours, the humans had destroyed or disabled more than half of his invasion fleet using nothing but primitive kinetic weapons and simple chemical explosives. "Prepare a message to the Federation Council," he said quietly. "We are going to need reinforcements." Down on Earth's surface, Admiral Grant smiled as she read the battle reports coming in from around the globe. The aliens had made their first mistake by underestimating human technology. Their second mistake had been underestimating human adaptability. But their biggest mistake had been assuming that a species from a death world would fight like civilized beings. Humans didn't fight fair, they didn't follow rules, and they certainly didn't give up just because the odds were against them. The Vectar were about to learn why evolution had spent millions of years trying to kill humanity, and why humans were still here despite everything the universe had thrown at them. The wreckage of alien ships floated in Earth's orbit like broken toys. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, watching salvage crews drag the damaged Vectar vessels toward the human shipyards. What the aliens had meant, as an invasion force, was now becoming humanity's greatest research opportunity. Dr. Susan Wright had never been so excited in her life. As Earth's chief combat engineer, she had dreamed of getting her hands on advanced alien technology. Now she had more than she knew what to do with. Her team was working around the clock in the converted mining facility on the moon, taking apart Vectar weapons and vehicles piece by piece. "This is incredible," she told her assistant, Dr. Paul Martinez, as they examined an alien energy weapon. "Look at this power cell. It's smaller than a human battery but stores 100 times more energy." Paul nodded, but he was more interested in the weapon's safety systems. "They've got 17 different safeguards built into this thing. Temperature monitors, power regulators, automatic shutdown switches. It's like they were terrified of their own weapons," Susan laughed. "That's because they were. These people evolved on a world where nothing ever went wrong. They build their technology like they're afraid it might hurt someone by accident." The human engineers began stripping away the alien safety systems one by one. Where the Vectar saw careful engineering designed to prevent accidents, humans saw unnecessary complications that reduced efficiency. Within days, they had turned elegant alien energy weapons into crude but devastating beam cannons. Major Chris Evans was testing the modified alien weapons at the military proving grounds on Mars. The results were impressive and terrifying. A Vectar energy rifle designed to stun rather than kill could now punch holes through 3 feet of solid steel. The aliens built these things to be safe and precise, he reported to Admiral Grant. We've made them dangerous and effective instead. But the real breakthrough came when humans started testing their own weapons against captured alien technology. The Vectar had energy shields that could deflect their own advanced energy weapons with ease. They were marvels of engineering that created protective force fields around anything they were attached to. Unfortunately for the aliens, their shields had been designed to stop other energy weapons. They were completely useless against simple kinetic projectiles like bullets and missiles. Sergeant Bill Turner discovered this during weapons testing when his standard military rifle punched right through a captured alien shield generator. The micro-energy field that could stop a laser beam like it was nothing offered no protection at all against a chunk of metal moving at high speed. It makes sense when you think about it, Dr. Wright explained to the military commanders. They never had to deal with projectile weapons because civilized species don't use them. Why would you throw rocks at someone when you have energy weapons? Human military doctrine was based on the opposite philosophy. Energy weapons were expensive and complicated. Kinetic weapons were cheap, simple, and effective. A bullet didn't need a power source or sophisticated targeting systems. It just needed to be pointed in the right direction and given enough speed to do damage. The psychological warfare was proving even more effective than the physical combat. Captain Rob Chen had taken over communications warfare after Sergeant Katie Lewis's music broadcast had driven an entire alien regiment to nervous breakdowns. They can't handle chaos, he explained to Admiral Grant. Their whole civilization is based on order and predictability. When we introduce random elements into their environment, they fall apart. Human hackers were having a field day with alien computer systems. Dr. Sam Davis led a team of information warfare specialists who had cracked the Vectar networks within hours of getting access to captured equipment. They have no concept of computer security, Sam reported with amazement. Their systems are completely open. They never developed firewalls or encryption because they never had anyone trying to break into their computers. Human computer viruses spread through alien networks like wildfire. The Vectar watched in horror as their own ships began turning against each other, controlled by human hackers who were treating the invasion fleet like a video game. The boarding actions were the most terrifying part of the war for the aliens. Commander Alex Turner led the first human assault on a Vectar command ship, and what his team found inside shocked everyone. The alien ship was a marvel of engineering, with corridors wide enough for small vehicles and rooms that could house hundreds of beings in comfort. Everything was clean, bright, and designed for maximum safety and efficiency. It's like a luxury hotel, one of Alex's Marines reported over the radio. These guys have never heard of defensive positions or security protocols. The Vectar crew surrendered without a fight. They had no training for repelling boarders because the concept of enemy soldiers attacking inside their own ship was completely foreign to them. In their civilization, battles were fought at long range with energy weapons. The idea of face-to-face combat inside a spacecraft was unthinkable. Human soldiers, on the other hand, had trained for exactly this kind of close-quarters combat. They were comfortable fighting in zero gravity, toxic atmospheres, and radiation fields that would kill most galactic citizens within minutes. The captured alien officers were polite and cooperative, answering human questions with the same calm efficiency they brought to everything else. What they revealed made the human commanders realize just how unprepared the Vectar were for real warfare. We have never fought an enemy that refused to surrender when faced with superior technology, admitted Commander Veltar, the highest-ranking alien prisoner. In civilized warfare, the losing side acknowledges defeat and accepts terms. Your species appears to lack this basic understanding of proper military conduct. Lisa Grant almost laughed when she heard this report. They think we're fighting wrong because we won't give up when they tell us to. The aliens had rules for everything, including warfare. Battles were supposed to be formal affairs with clear objectives and predictable outcomes. The side with better technology was supposed to win, and the losing side was supposed to accept defeat gracefully. Humans had never heard of such rules. On Earth, wars were messy, chaotic affairs where anything that worked was fair game. Surprise attacks, psychological warfare, and fighting dirty weren't violations of civilized conduct. They were Tuesday. The war began turning in humanity's favor, as more alien ships fell to human weapons and tactics. The Vectar found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow any of the established patterns of galactic warfare. Human fighters attacked from unexpected directions, using the chaotic environment of Earth's atmosphere to mask their approach. Human ground forces used camouflage and stealth tactics that made them nearly invisible to alien sensors designed to track energy signatures. Most disturbing of all, humans seemed to get stronger and more dangerous the longer the fighting continued. Each battle taught them new ways to exploit alien weaknesses, and they adapted their tactics faster than the Vectar could respond. High Counselor Zethka watched his invasion force disintegrate with growing horror. Half of his ships had been destroyed or captured, and the other half were being systematically hunted down by human forces that seemed to appear out of nowhere. "How many reinforcements will we need?" he asked his military advisor. "Sir, I don't think reinforcements will be enough. These humans don't fight like any civilized species we've encountered. They adapt too quickly and refuse to acknowledge when they've been defeated." Zethka looked at the tactical display showing the scattered remains of what had once been the largest military force in Vectar history. The humans had destroyed it using nothing but primitive weapons and unconventional tactics. "Send a message to the Federation Council," he said quietly. "Tell them we need everything they have. And tell them that if we fail here, these humans are going to become a threat to the entire galaxy." On Earth's surface, Admiral Grant read the intelligence reports with grim satisfaction. The aliens were learning that there was a difference between conquering civilized worlds and fighting a species that had evolved in hell. Humans hadn't survived on their death world by being reasonable or following rules. They had done it by being tougher, smarter, and more ruthless than anything else on the planet. The Vectar were about to discover what that meant when applied to galactic warfare. The space around Earth looked like a graveyard of alien ships when the second wave arrived. Supreme Admiral Kethvar of the Galactic Federation stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of the Vectar invasion force, trying to understand how 200 advanced warships had been destroyed by primitive humans. "How many ships are we bringing this time?" asked his aide, a nervous young officer from the hegemony species. 2,000 vessels from 43 different Federation worlds, Kethvar replied. "The largest military force in galactic history. These humans may have gotten lucky against the Vectar, but they cannot stand against the combined might of the entire Federation." The Supreme Admiral had conquered more star systems than any other military commander in Federation history. He had brought peace to unruly worlds and order to chaotic systems. The campaign against Earth was supposed to be his greatest triumph, a final demonstration of Federation power before his retirement. What he found when his fleet arrived in the Sol system was not what he expected. Earth's orbital space was crowded with new human warships, crude-looking vessels that seemed to have been built in a hurry. Human shipyards, which had been small operations before the war, were now massive industrial complexes churning out warships at an impossible rate. Lieutenant Colonel Mary Johnson watched the alien fleet approach from her command station on the battleship New Texas. She had been promoted 3 times in the past 6 months, as the human military expanded to meet the growing threat. "Count them," she ordered her sensor operator. 2017 ships, Colonel. Everything from small fighters to massive dreadnoughts. I've never seen anything like it. Mary smiled grimly. Neither have they. Send the signal to all human vessels. Let's show these aliens what we've learned. The human fleet that met the Federation Armada was nothing like the small defense force that had fought the Vectar. Human industrial capacity, driven by wartime desperation and the knowledge that their homeworld was at stake, had produced miracles of engineering. The new human warships were ugly, functional things built from a combination of human engineering and captured alien technology. They had thick armor plating, redundant systems, and enough firepower to level small cities. They looked like weapons of war rather than the elegant sculptures that passed for military vessels among civilized species. Captain Ben Rodriguez commanded the defense of Mars from his flagship, the destroyer Red Planet. The Red Planet had been turned into a fortress over the past months, with orbital weapons platforms and underground bunkers that could survive anything the aliens might throw at them. "They're coming in the standard Federation formation," he reported to Fleet Command. "Looks like they expect this to be a conventional space battle." The Federation fleet attacked in perfect formation, their energy weapons creating brilliant displays of light against the darkness of space. It was beautiful to watch, like a deadly dance performed by beings who had turned warfare into an art form. But the human response was nothing like what the aliens expected. Instead of matching the Federation's elegant formations, human ships broke apart into small groups that attacked from every direction at once. The hybrid human-alien weapons tore through Federation shields like they were made of paper. Human missiles, guided by captured alien technology but powered by human explosives, turned graceful alien warships into expanding clouds of debris. Supreme Admiral Kethavar watched his carefully planned battle formation disintegrate into chaos. As human forces refused to fight according to established galactic military doctrine, the humans attacked like wild animals without regard for proper tactics or civilized conduct. "Sir, we're losing ships faster than we can coordinate our response," reported his tactical officer. "The humans are using some kind of instantaneous communication system. They're coordinating attacks across the entire battlefield simultaneously." This was Dr. Linda Martinez's greatest contribution to the war effort. She had cracked the secret of Vector faster-than-light communication technology and improved it beyond anything the aliens had imagined possible. Where alien communication systems were designed for polite, orderly conversations, Linda had turned them into a military coordination network that allowed human forces to act as a single organism across vast distances. Human ships attacked in perfect synchronization, hitting Federation vessels from multiple directions at exactly the same moment. It was like fighting an enemy with a single unified mind that could think faster than any individual commander. The battle for Mars lasted 3 weeks. Federation forces threw everything they had at the Red Planet, but human defenses held. Captain Rodriguez and his crews had learned from every previous battle, adapting their tactics to counter each new alien strategy. "They keep trying the same approaches," Ben reported during one of his brief communications with Earth. "Different weapons, different formations, but the same basic mindset. They can't understand that we don't fight fair." Human deep space raiders began hitting Federation supply lines and reinforcement convoys. Commander Steve Peterson led these attacks, taking small groups of human ships far behind enemy lines to strike at targets the aliens thought were safe. "We're fighting in environments that would kill most of these species just from the radiation exposure," Steve reported from his ship, the Void Hunter Blackbird. "They have to wear full environmental suits just to survive in vacuum. We can operate in space wearing nothing but light armor and breathing masks." The psychological impact of these raids was devastating. Federation commanders found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once, striking without warning and disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. Human forces began using captured alien vessels as decoys, loading them with explosives and sending them on suicide runs against Federation formations. The aliens, trained to recognize their own ship types as friendly, were caught off guard again and again. "This is barbaric," Supreme Admiral Kethavar complained to his staff. "No civilized species would use such tactics. They're turning our own technology against us." But the worst part was how quickly the humans learned. Every battle taught them new ways to exploit Federation weaknesses. They adapted their tactics faster than the aliens could develop countermeasures. Human boarding parties began using captured alien environmental suits to infiltrate Federation ships. The aliens, who all looked similar to each other, could not tell the difference between their own people and humans in disguise until it was too late. Commander Alex Turner had perfected these infiltration tactics. His teams would capture alien crew members, study their behavior and uniforms, then use that information to sneak aboard other ships. "The key is confidence," he explained to his soldiers. "Walk like you belong there, and most aliens will assume you do. They're not used to deception or subterfuge. The concept of enemy spies is foreign to them." The war reached its turning point when human forces captured a Federation command ship intact. The intelligence they gathered from the alien computers revealed the locations of major Federation military bases and supply depots. Dr. Sam Davis and his team of hackers had been preparing for this moment. They used the captured information to launch coordinated attacks on Federation infrastructure across multiple star systems simultaneously. "We're not just fighting a defensive war anymore," Admiral Grant announced to the human fleet commanders. "We're taking the fight to them." Human raiding fleets struck at Federation colonies and military installations, using the aliens' own hyperspace technology to appear without warning. The attacks were precise and devastating, targeting key infrastructure while avoiding civilian casualties. The Federation had never faced an enemy that could strike at their core territories. For thousands of years, their wars had been fought at the edges of their territory against primitive species that lacked interstellar travel capability. Now they found themselves fighting an enemy that could appear anywhere in their space at any time, using their own technology against them with ruthless efficiency. Supreme Admiral Kethvar stared at the reports of human attacks across Federation space. In 6 months, these primitive Deathworlders had gone from defending a single star system to launching coordinated strikes across half the galaxy. "How is this possible?" he asked his intelligence chief. "They were barely spacefaring when we first contacted them." "Sir, it appears that surviving on a death world requires certain adaptive capabilities that we never developed. They learn faster than any species we've encountered, and they seem to thrive under pressure that would break most civilized beings." The Supreme Admiral looked at the tactical display showing human forces advancing on multiple fronts. His greatest military campaign was turning into the greatest disaster in Federation history. "Prepare a message to the Federation Council," he said quietly. "Tell them we need to discuss terms." The surrender ceremony took place in the ruins of what had once been the Federation's most important military base. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of her flagship, the battleship Earth's Fury, watching as the alien representatives approached, under a flag of truce. Supreme Admiral Kethvar looked like he had aged 20 years in the past 6 months. His once proud uniform was wrinkled and stained, and his large eyes held the hollow look of someone who had seen his entire worldview destroyed. "Admiral Grant," he said through his translation device, "I come to formally surrender all Federation forces in this sector and to request terms for a ceasefire." Lisa nodded slowly. She felt no joy in this moment, only the grim satisfaction of a job well done. "The terms are simple, Admiral. All Federation forces will withdraw from human space immediately. Earth and all human colonies are to be left alone. No Federation ship will enter our territory without permission, and in return, we stop destroying your fleets and attacking your bases." Kethvar winced at the blunt statement. In 6 months of warfare, the humans had destroyed over 1,500 Federation warships and captured or damaged most of the rest. Human forces were now operating freely in Federation space, striking targets at will while the aliens struggled to mount any effective defense. "The Federation Council has authorized me to accept these terms," he said quietly. "But I must ask, what are your long-term intentions? Will humanity be content to remain in your current territory?" Lisa smiled grimly. "That's not your concern anymore, Admiral. But since you asked, we'll be expanding. There are a lot of worlds out there that your civilized species consider too dangerous to live on. We call them home." The aftermath of the war saw humanity emerge as the galaxy's newest and most feared major power. Human colonies began appearing on planets that other species had written off as uninhabitable death traps. Captain Joe Baker commanded the exploration vessel New Horizon as it surveyed worlds beyond the local galactic arm. His mission was to find planets suitable for human colonization and to make sure no other species would make the mistake of threatening humanity again. "Look at this place," he said to his science officer as they approached a world with an atmosphere full of sulfur compounds and surface temperatures that would melt lead. The Federation database lists it as completely uninhabitable. Dr. Patricia Allen, who had been Earth's first galactic ambassador before the war, smiled as she reviewed the planetary data. Uninhabitable for them, maybe, but humans lived near active volcanoes for thousands of years. This is just a bigger volcano. The human colony ships began landing on worlds that would kill most galactic citizens within minutes. Planets with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, extreme temperatures, and dangerous wildlife became prime real estate for human settlers who had evolved to thrive in hostile environments. The other species watched in horror as humans began terraforming these nightmare worlds by making them even more dangerous. Where most species would try to tame a hostile planet, humans seemed to enjoy the challenge of adapting to environments that actively tried to kill them. Dr. Nick Thompson established the first human research station on a world where the native predators were larger than Earth's dinosaurs and twice as aggressive. His reports back to Earth were filled with excitement about the opportunities for studying extreme biology. "The locals are fascinating," he reported. "Imagine a grizzly bear crossed with a shark, then make it the size of a school bus and give it acid for blood. The Federation classified this world as a Category 15 death trap. I call it Tuesday. The psychological impact on the galaxy was enormous. For thousands of years, the Federation had maintained order through the threat of overwhelming technological superiority. Now there was a species that could not only match their technology, but actively enjoyed fighting in conditions that would terrify most civilized beings. Human merchant ships began appearing in Federation space, offering trade goods and services, with the same casual confidence they brought to everything else. The traders were polite and professional, but everyone who dealt with them was aware that these were members of the species that had just destroyed the largest military force in galactic history. Commander Alex Turner, now running security for human civilian operations, made sure the galaxy remembered what humans were capable of. His people maintained a visible presence wherever humans operated, serving as a reminder of what happened to species that threatened Earth. "We're not conquerors," he would tell anyone who asked. "We're just making sure everyone understands that humanity is not to be messed with." The Galactic Senate held an emergency session to address the human situation. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss how to deal with the newest members of the galactic community. Dr. Patricia Allen represented humanity at these proceedings, delivering speeches that mixed diplomatic language with subtle threats. Her message was always the same. Humanity wanted to be left alone to pursue their own destiny among the stars. "We have no interest in ruling over other species," she told the assembled representatives. "We just want to be free to live our lives and explore the galaxy in peace. As long as no one threatens us or our colonies, we have no quarrel with anyone." But the unspoken message was clear. The species that had destroyed the Federation's military might in 6 months would not hesitate to do it again if provoked. The Senate's response was Resolution 2847, a formal declaration that humanity was to be granted full autonomy over any worlds they chose to colonize. The resolution's final clause stated that any species attempting to wage war against Deathworlders would receive no aid from the galactic community. As the human delegation prepared to leave the Senate chambers, one of the older alien representatives was overheard speaking to a colleague. "We should have listened to the xenobiologists from the beginning," the ancient being whispered. "They warned us that nothing good ever comes from poking the predators." "What did they mean by that?" asked a younger representative. "Death world. Species are rare in the galaxy for a reason. Not because they're weak, but because they're so dangerous that the universe itself tries to kill them from birth. When something that tough decides to turn its attention to warfare, the results are always catastrophic for everyone else." The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson about the difference between civilized species and survivors. Humanity had won, not through superior numbers or technology, but through the simple fact that they were the products of a world that had been trying to murder them for millions of years. 10 years after the war ended, human colonies dotted the galaxy like scattered seeds taking root in places no one else wanted to live. The nightmare worlds that had once been marked as forbidden zones on galactic charts were now thriving human settlements. Admiral Lisa Grant, now retired but still serving as an advisor to Earth's government, stood on the observation deck of humanity's newest space station, watching cargo ships arrive from dozens of human colonies. "Did we do the right thing?" asked Captain Jake Parker, who had remained her aide throughout the war and its aftermath. Lisa considered the question as she watched human children playing in the station's recreation areas. These kids would grow up knowing that their species had faced the combined might of the galaxy and won. They would never have to bow to anyone or accept limits on where they could go or what they could do. "We survived," she said finally. "We protected our home and secured our future. That's all any species can do." The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had proven that sometimes the most dangerous species in the universe were the ones that evolution had spent millions of years trying to kill. The aliens had made the mistake of assuming that survivors were weak. They learned too late that survivors were the most dangerous creatures of all, because they were the ones who refused to die no matter what the universe threw at them. And now those survivors were loose among the stars, turning nightmare worlds into garden paradises through the simple expedient of being tougher than anything the galaxy could produce. The war was over, but humanity's real journey was just beginning.